In the hush of silent observation, you begin to notice it. The way she moves through the world, not as herself, but as a collection of roles. Mother, lover, nurturer, muse. Her body carries more than bones and breath. It bears the weight of 10,000 years of projected desire. What men want her to be. What culture demands she become. What her grandmother whispered she must never forget. The soft curve of her hip, once simply flesh, now a battleground of meaning. Her lips, her eyes, her hands, all colonized territory. And in this occupation, something essential has been lost, the woman herself. You've felt it, haven't you? That subtle disconnection. As if you're watching yourself perform femininity from somewhere slightly above your body. A puppet master pulling your own strings. Carl Jung warned us of this precarious dance, this slipping into archetypes that are older than civilization itself. The maiden, the mother, the crone, the witch, the temptress, ancient patterns carved into the collective unconscious. Until you make the unconscious conscious, Jung cautioned, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And so it is with the female body. Until a woman recognizes the archetypal prison her flesh has become, she remains captured by forces she cannot name. Moving through life in a beautifully decorated cage, the roles feel natural because they are ancient. They feel comfortable because they are well worn. But comfort is not the same as freedom, and ancient is not the same as true. Consider how young girls learn to disconnect from their bodies, not in a single moment, but through 1,000 tiny surrenders. The first time she's told to sit differently, to smile more, to take up less space. And slowly, her body becomes less a vessel for her spirit and more a canvas for society's projections. A thing to be viewed rather than a place to exist from. A trap of flesh and bone. Jung understood that liberation begins with awareness. To see the archetypal patterns is to begin breaking their spell. To name the invisible forces is to weaken their grip on your soul. But awareness alone is not enough. The journey from objectified body to embodied spirit requires more than intellectual understanding. It demands a confrontation with the shadow aspects of femininity that have been denied. The rage that's been swallowed. The ambition that's been muted. The wildness that's been tamed. These too are part of the feminine, though they've been exiled to the underworld of consciousness. What happens when a woman reclaims these exiled parts? When she integrates the shadow with the light, she becomes dangerous, not in the way of weapons or violence, but in the way of truth. A whole woman is dangerous because she cannot be controlled through her insecurities. She cannot be manipulated through her need for approval. She stands in her power, unafraid of her own darkness. Imagine walking through the world not as a collection of parts to be judged, but as an integrated being. Your body no longer a trap, but a temple of authentic experience. Your femininity no longer a performance, but a living truth. This is the alchemical transformation Jung pointed toward. The transmutation of archetypal energy into individual consciousness. The journey from being the object of the story to becoming its author. But this journey requires courage. The courage to disappoint others. The courage to be misunderstood. The courage to be called selfish, difficult, or cold when you refuse to play the roles assigned to you. Consider the mother archetype, the expectation of endless nurturing, bottomless generosity, selfless love. These expectations don't simply ask for a woman's time or energy. They demand her very self. A mother who sets boundaries is viewed with suspicion. A woman who chooses not to mother at all is seen as unfulfilled or unnatural. The archetype allows no room for individual variation or choice. The lover archetype carries its own prison, the expectation to remain desirable, to prioritize beauty and youth, to shape yourself according to another's hunger rather than your own appetite for life. Jung observed that when we're unconscious of these patterns, we don't simply enact them, we become possessed by them. The archetype wears us, not the other way around. And in this possession, we lose access to the full spectrum of our humanity. We become caricatures rather than characters, predictable rather than authentic, reactive rather than creative. The body becomes a trap precisely because it seems so natural. The roles feel like destiny rather than choice. The limitations feel like reality rather than construction. But what if the body could be something else entirely? Not a prison of expectation, but a garden of possibility. Not an object to be viewed, but a subject that does the viewing. This is where Jung's work on individuation becomes revolutionary for women. The process of becoming psychologically individual, of differentiating oneself from collective expectations, of emerging as a unique expression of humanity. Individuation doesn't mean rejecting femininity. It means discovering what femininity means for you, specifically, beyond the archetypes, beyond the projections, beyond the ancient stories that have been written onto your flesh. It means asking, which of these aspects truly resonate with my soul? Which feel foreign? Which bring me alive? Which deplete me? It means curating your expression of womanhood rather than inheriting it wholesale. The journey begins with the body itself, reclaiming physical sensation from the numbing effects of objectification, learning to inhabit your body as a place of power rather than a site of evaluation. Feel the difference between moving to be seen and moving to express, between dressing to please others and dressing to please yourself, between using your voice to soothe and using it to speak truth. These subtle shifts in awareness create ripples of transformation. The woman who moves from within rather than for external validation becomes magnetic in an entirely different way. She attracts not through need, but through wholeness. If this resonates with you, pause for a moment. Notice what stirs within you. The recognition, perhaps. The resistance, maybe. Both are guideposts on the path toward embodied authenticity. The next phase of reclamation involves examining your relationships. Notice where you've become the projection screen for others' unconscious needs, where you've been asked to be smaller or larger than you actually are. Jung called this inflation and deflation, psychological states where we either identify too strongly with an archetype, becoming the all-nurturing mother at the expense of our other qualities, or reject it entirely, denying our capacity for nurturing altogether. True liberation lies in the middle path, in conscious relationship with these archetypal energies, dancing with them rather than being devoured by them, expressing them by choice rather than by compulsion. Consider the powerful archetype of the wild woman that Clarissa Pinkola Estes describes in her expansion of Jungian thought. The woman who runs with wolves, who knows the forest of her own psyche, who trusts her instincts and intuition. This wildness isn't chaos, it's natural order, unbounded by artificial constraints. It's the wisdom of the body before culture taught it to doubt itself. The intelligence of emotion before it was dismissed as irrational. Reclaiming this wild nature doesn't happen through thinking. It happens through feeling, through sensation, through reconnecting with the body not as an image but as a living, breathing animal with its own knowing. Dance until you forget who's watching. Eat for pleasure, not permission. Touch your own skin with curiosity rather than criticism. Make sounds of joy or grief without muting their volume. These are revolutionary acts of reclamation. The body that was once a trap begins to transform into a vessel of liberation. The very flesh that society sought to control becomes the medium through which authentic selfhood is expressed. This transformation ripples outward. Other women recognize in you something they've been seeking in themselves: the permission to be real, to be complex, to contain multitudes rather than fitting neatly into prescribed roles. Men, too, begin to shift in your presence. Those who were comfortable with the archetype but uncomfortable with the woman may retreat. Those hungry for authentic connection will be drawn closer. This is the strategic impact of embodied authenticity. It naturally reorganizes your relationships according to their capacity for truth. It becomes a filter, revealing who cherishes your wholeness and who merely wanted your performance. The unconscious collusion that maintains archetypal prisons requires participation from both sides. When a woman steps out of her assigned role, she creates a choice point for everyone around her. They can expand to meet her authenticity or cling to the comfort of the familiar pattern. Either way, something new is born in the space where the old agreement used to be. This journey isn't linear. There will be days when the old patterns feel safer than the new freedom, when the familiar role calls you back with promises of belonging and approval. Jung understood this oscillation as part of the process: the ego's fear of dissolution, the comfort of the known versus the uncertainty of authentic becoming, the death of the false self that must precede rebirth. In these moments of regression, practice compassion rather than judgment. The archetypes have existed for millennia. Your awareness of them is young. The path toward liberation is long and spirals back upon itself. What matters is not perfection, but presence. Not arriving, but journeying. Not transcending the body, but transforming your relationship with it. From prison to palace. From trap to temple. If this exploration speaks to something deep within you, perhaps you're ready to continue this journey of feminine individuation. To dive deeper into the unconscious patterns that have shaped your experience of womanhood. Remember that conscious femininity doesn't mean rejecting all aspects of traditional female roles. It means choosing them freely where they align with your soul's purpose and declining them where they don't. The integrated woman can nurture without being consumed by nurturing, can express sexuality without being reduced to it, can access intuition without abandoning rationality, can embrace softness without fearing strength. She moves between archetypes fluidly rather than being fixed in any one. She is maiden, mother, and crone, warrior and healer, student and teacher, sacred and profane, all existing within one authentic being. The privilege of a lifetime, Jung wrote, is to become who you truly are. For women, this privilege has been particularly hard-won. The journey toward embodied authenticity often feels like swimming against a powerful current. But with each woman who breaks free from archetypal possession, the current weakens. The path becomes clearer. The possibility of living from the truth of one's being rather than the projection of others' desires becomes more accessible to all. Your body is not a trap. It never was. It is the sacred ground where consciousness meets matter. where spirit becomes flesh, where the unique expression of your soul takes tangible form in the world. It is through this body, not despite it, that your liberation unfolds. In reclaiming your physical existence from archetypal possession, you reclaim your right to define your own meaning, to write your own story. And in that story, you are neither object nor archetype. You are author, character, and reader all at once, witnessing your own unfolding with compassion, creating your life with intention, living from the inside out. This is Jung's ultimate invitation, to become a conscious participant in your own becoming, to transform the unconscious forces that once imprisoned you into the very energies that set you free.